Boundary 2, omission is commission. We are charged with committing what we have the power and opportunity and choice to prevent. Deuteronomy 22:1. If you see your neighbor's ox wandering away and don't put it back in for your neighbor, you're charged with the loss of the ox. Luke 16:19. The rich man was lost not because of his status, but for what he did not do when he had the opportunity and the choice and the power, in contrast to the Good Samaritan. Matthew 25:14, the parable of the talents. They were lost because of what they did not do. James 4:17, he that knoweth to do good, but doesn't do what he has the power and the opportunity to do, is charged with committing what he could have prevented. Negligent homicide definition. It is characterized as a death caused by conduct that is grossly deviated from ordinary. Honor suicide example. A captain going down with an empty ship is honor suicide. It's not required by naval code. Therefore, similarly, voluntarily dying from water filling a ship or filling your lungs is honor suicide. The person does not want to die, but prefers death to shame or dishonor. Now, on this point, there was a minister that I actually called him. I was sitting here, no one's responding, and I just called him up, and he found fault with this analogy. He says, regarding this captain going down with his ship, he said, this is a false analogy, because the captain is not praying to the Navy, whereas the parents who have a sick child, they are praying to God. Well, I countered that by saying, well, I think it actually is an excellent analogy, because the captain here, he doesn't even have to pray to the Navy, because the Navy gave him lifeboats. That's why the ship is empty. He doesn't even have to pray. He can just go get on a lifeboat and paddle away if he wants to. So he is going down with the ship voluntarily. He does have within his means, the captain does, he has a lifeboat. There's nothing in the naval code that requires him, just like there's nothing in the Bible that requires a parent not to render life-saving aid to their child. The person does not want to die, neither does the naval captain, but they prefer death to shame or dishonor, or having their conscience violated and losing their good standing with God. And we will see later on here in this question and answer where Brother Ostis uses extreme force and strips a person of their very standing with God if they do seek medical aid. So stand by for that. Coming up later in the show, as they say. So Luke 6:9 says, not doing good on the Sabbath is doing evil on the Sabbath. Not healing on the Sabbath is killing on the Sabbath. Not rescuing an ass on the Sabbath is killing the ass on the Sabbath. Not saving life is destroying life. Therefore, by scriptural and societal and legal definition, we can't say we didn't kill a child if we withheld life-saving aid. It is therefore honor suicide or negligent homicide to die when one has the ability and opportunity to live or to save the life of another. Our only option is to claim that we're ordered to do it, like Abraham was ordered to offer Isaac. And there we go, trying to find an ordinance in the scripture, and all we have is this invitation that E.E. Byram reworked into an ordinance. I questioned Brother Ed Wilson closely, point by point, on this. I wanted to know, is it true that, do you agree with this, that if you let a child die, you can't say you didn't kill that child, and you had life-saving aid at hand? He agreed with me. And that's why when 6 months had gone by and nobody responded to me, other than the two ministers, of course, I thought, well, who am I? Why would they need to contact me? They'll be contacting Brother Ed Wilson. He's 1,000 times more of an important person on this subject. He's more relevant than I am, is what I'm trying to say. So I wrote to him and asked him, has anybody contacted you? Because I haven't heard a word. And 6 months in, he said not one person had even contacted, even to verify, is this true? You really agreed with all this? You went down through all these points, one point at a time, and you told Arlen that you agree with this? I couldn't believe that somebody wouldn't. So I thought, well, maybe he forgot somebody. So then I went out to the ministers. As you'll see, I said, Brother Ed says 6 months later, not one of you people out there has even asked him about this. Chirp, 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 complete silence, except one of them began to ask me for the list of who all's out here. Who are you sending these to? So since I sent them a copy of the ministers, I'm also including it for the laity to see. All right, so refusing or omitting life-saving aid when it's available, that's merely the flip side of committing the act of snake handling. The scriptures seem to make it clear that it makes no difference whether death results as the act of omission, omitting to save life, rather than an act of commission, such as we would view the act of snake handling. And that's the end of boundary 2. Omission is commission.